Hello everybody, welcome to this month's District Insider. I'm Saad Chaudry, your host for this month. We're going to be looking at a lot of great videos, but we'll kick things off with the Cops and Kids Celebration of Reading event, which took place last spring. Take a look.
The Celebration of Reading, and this year is our 11th annual Celebration of Reading, really began to sort of honor the children of our community and all those companies and individuals who came together to make this program a success. Our original goal with this program was to give out 1,000 books, and we are celebrating the fact that we've just distributed our 780,000th free book. This doesn't happen alone. This happens because of the collaboration of just thousands of young people, retired citizens, volunteers from virtually every company and every section of our community. So to celebrate that, to celebrate a collaboration for our children, we decided to do a celebration of reading. We had no idea that it would be this successful, ever. When the Bethlehem Area School District children come, all these young people have a sense that they too can make a difference. How important that is for us as human beings to give that gift to our children, so they in fact know that they do have something to offer. We want every child in this community, regardless of their age, to understand, first of all, how important they are to us, but also what they have to give. A community, I think, is really judged ultimately by how it does come together, looking towards the future. If we, in fact, instill in these young people who volunteer, who do book drives, if we instill in them a sense that they are so vitally important to who we are as a community, our future is better, because that continues. There is nothing that can compare to the feeling that you get when you know you have something to give. And these young people give consistently, year after year, day after day. We have volunteers in our reading room for virtually every event that we have. We have volunteers from the school district in our reading every Wednesday that the reading room is open to the community. That tells me that they in fact want to do something, that they want to be involved. And literacy is a very special thing. Literacy is the greatest equalizer. I'm a child of poverty, and I grew up right here on the south side of Bethlehem. It is because the Bethlehem Area School District was so kind to me and to my brothers, and the community was so kind to me and my brothers, that I am here today and able to do this. This is my gift back, and I love for our young people to know that someone will do this because that community, that school district was kind to them. This is not about money. This is about literacy, and our children get that. I think the whole community gets that, but in particular, our children get that.
A special thank you to Beverly Bradley, whose efforts have impacted many students throughout Bethlehem. 50 years ago, Freedom High School began with a school full of students, but the reception may not be what you think. Take a look.
When the first students came here, when Freedom opened and Liberty and Freedom were separated, students coming were very reluctant. Keep in mind, they had been at Liberty for 2 years, the seniors coming in. They already had their class rings which said Liberty High School. And they were very resistant in coming over. They wanted to keep the new school very similar to the old school, so that when they voted on school colors, they were going to be blue and red, because Liberty was red and blue. So the original school colors were blue and red. In fact, the 2 cafeterias were painted blue and red. Okay? The alma mater originally was written to the tune of the Liberty alma mater. All the clubs and activities at Freedom paralleled those at Liberty. And the original mascot was going to be the Minutemen. Right? And things changed rapidly. And suddenly the school colors became black and gold, and the mascot became the Patriot. And after the students were here a couple months, they realized that we have to establish our own identity. And it almost became a point of jealousy from those that had to stay at Liberty, because they came over and saw what the students had here. When alumni come back, who were here maybe 30, 40, 50 years ago, strange, they enjoy what's new, but they're more interested in reminiscing of what was here when they were here. And they want to find their locker, and they want to reminisce about their activities. We had one class that came back as a tour during their class reunion, and the pool, it was during the summer, and the swimming pool was drained for renovations. And they remembered that in their senior year, they had their class picture taken in the empty pool. So they all climbed down into the empty pool to recreate their photo of their senior year.
The kids have changed over the years. They're kids, they still come to high school, they still have the enthusiasm. However, today's world, cell phones, the buds, the dress. When school started here way back when, shirts and ties, skirts, you know, and just nicely dressed. Today, they do their own thing, you know. But basically this, I would say technology, because we had the old DARE system to call up the phones. They had typewriters, shorthand was taught here. We had how many languages taught here? Latin, German, French, Russian, even Russian. So now it's mostly Spanish, French, and German still. But overall, the school, the building is the same, and the kids come every year with a lot of enthusiasm, and you know, they support their school and everything like that. That hasn't much changed. They're still here. I hope when people come out to the rededication and the overall celebration, they reconnect with their classmates, they reconnect with their faculty, members that they might have had, because I think a good old-fashioned reunion is what I'm looking for. And they can tour the school to see what's changed, unless they've had students or children here now. But I just think a good old-fashioned reunion to make everybody feel good again, like they were back at Freedom High School.
Thank you to the 50th Anniversary Committee for planning a great event. Up next on the show, students who are learning English for the first time are discovering some new career opportunities.
So the School to Work program was created 21 years ago. What the program provides ESL students the opportunity to explore healthcare careers at St. Luke's Hospital Bethlehem campus. Throughout the year, they visit at least 30 departments in an academic year. Those departments include the mother-baby unit, the NICU, emergency room, physical therapy, any patient area. We also take them to the non-clinical areas, including the business office areas of the hospital. That could include media productions, accounting, finance, environmental services, or kitchen environment, anything that is non-clinical in the hospital setting. When the students come into the program, they're very hesitant to ask questions. They're afraid to be in the healthcare environment. Everything is unfamiliar to them, including the language skills. They feel they're not comfortable speaking English. But by being in the program, they have to improve their communication skills. They have to talk one-on-one with professionals, their body language skills. By the time they leave the program, they have not just improved their one-on-one communication skills, but they increase at least 1 or 2 levels in their English skills because of being in the program. Their self-confidence improves, and they're a completely different student from beginning to end.
I loved the fact that there were some differences in that pyramid that I don't see when I look at the My Plate now.
The School to Work program is that our second language learners get an opportunity to interview at the end of every year, and then we choose 18 of those students for the program. They get English with me for a whole year and science with Mr. Dusing. Some of the things that we do in our classroom, everything is based on the standards for ESOL, the speaking, the listening, the reading, the writing. Students are actively engaged in learning everything from the Hippocratic Oath and the beginning of medicine in my class, and the academic vocabulary that goes with that, and hospital vocabulary. But then we go on to a nutrition unit, which we're just finishing up now. Students are finding out how much sugar is in their beverages and what they're eating and what they're putting into their body and how important it is. Activity, I think we had 2 weeks of My Plate, myplate.gov, and the students were putting in everything that they were eating and drinking, and about 5 out of the 18 have really started to make some games on more activity, miss, I'm walking more and tracing my steps, and I'm not drinking those high sugar drinks. And you love things like that because they're seeing the effects, that cause and effect relationship when they go to the hospital on rotations, and they're able to see patients that are diabetic and some cancer patients, knowing that nutrition, our essential question is, what do we do today to ensure a healthier lifestyle tomorrow? They get that hands-on in the classroom, and that really plays out into the rest of their daily lives. The goal ultimately is that our students are using English as their second language successfully in the workplace. Originally, when we started the School to Work program, it was a career pathway in healthcare. But many of our students will end up leaving after getting their certificate, and they won't go into healthcare. But it was an opportunity for them to see that there are so many different aspects to the hospital. There is media, there is security, there's maintenance, lab technicians. But the ultimate goal is that they are speaking and using their second language successfully. Students won't be able to be a part of this program if they're ninth grade. It has to be 10th through 12th. And they also have to be able to be at an intermediate, maybe high beginner level, where they will actually ask questions. They're not allowed to speak in their native language when they're at the hospital, even though there are enough people there that they would be able to translate. And it really makes them think about their daily lives and how they use language, and their listening skills, which they need as well. Observation skills that they use at the hospital. So altogether, those are some really important goals.
Your esophagus is doing something called peristalsis. It's pushing it. So all you're going to do is just take your hands and just push on the bag. You're not going to crush it really. You're just going to mix up some of that liquid. Okay?
So one of the biggest challenges with the School to Work program, in science specifically, is a lot of the vocabulary that they have to come across. Not only the vocabulary I try and teach them in class, but also the vocabulary they hear at the hospital, and the quick interactions that they have to be able to make on their feet when they're at the hospital. So we try and mimic that in class, but I've seen that the biggest obstacle tends to be vocabulary because we have such a different level of kids in terms of their English abilities in the class. So what we do try and do is incorporate as many hands-on activities to take this, things out of the book essentially and make it real world, something that's tangible, and it helps cut over that language barrier that so many of them face, considering we also have different languages spoken within the class. So not only are we working on their English, but their ability to problem solve and collaborate and actually see things happening versus just reading or hearing about them happening.
Passing along to our two large intestines.
Well, Karen Deep, over the last year, we've gotten to know him very well. When he came last year, he was very timid, very shy. His English ability was, he could communicate on a basic level, but he's definitely blossomed quite a bit over the last year. His ability to communicate, to talk, to problem solve. I think what he's getting out of the program is just exposure, seeing that there's so much more out there available to him if he's willing to work for it. And his first rotation will attest to that. We got an email from his preceptor saying that it was one of the best students she had ever worked with, because of the questions he asked above and beyond what they have to. So I think just having that opportunity to get out there and see it outside of the school setting really is going to help him out big time.
Suhei is one of my students. She's just gone from beginner to intermediate, and Suhei is from El Salvador. So she is very cautious when she's speaking and asking questions. She wants to make sure that her language is perfect. Her writing skills are developing beautifully. She's wonderful to have in a classroom. And I think about the connections between the students in the classroom, and they're from different backgrounds, different cultures. And now I'm thinking of Han Yang, who is an exited student. And you can actually be exited, and as long as you're an exited second language student and you really want to explore School to Work, we will take you into the program. Now, being exited, his writing skills are far better than most of the students in the classroom. And I look at the two of them, and Han is very nervous about speaking in public and asking questions, but he will do it beautifully. And when I pair the two of them together, I love the relationship that you see building. Two students from different walks of life, different cultures, and they're coming together to help each other. Han was helping Suhei the other day on forming questions. and to relax and to breathe. And by the time they do their oral presentation for me next week, I know that Suhei is going to be thinking to herself, what a great connection I just made.
I learned some health knowledge, some English also. I see different departments in the state hospitals. And it's pretty interesting experience.
I think my favorite rotation was cardiology, cath lab, which I got to see like a surgery going on. So it was really fun. Yeah, and then my preceptor talked to me a lot about how the hospital works and how it is to work there. So that makes me really excited.
Before choosing this program, I was not, but when I go to the hospital and like see the different patients and different departments, so then like I was interested in this program. Yeah.
If you had to do it all over again, would you do this program?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
A lot of things like learn, practices my English, have new experience, you know.
I had a wonderful experience. I got to see so many things that I didn't expect to see. That'll be my memories my whole year until I die.
They were amazing. Miss Rivera, at first I was like, oh my God, like, who is this lady? I did not want to be in class. Like I was like, but like, as time went on, we grew like as a family. Like Miss Rivera is like the mom, I guess you can say.
I believe that these students leave, and I believe that all of my School to Work students for the past 17 years leave this program feeling as though we're family. And they feel that from me, their English teacher, and from Mr. Dusing, their science teacher. I really never want them to know how much they have affected me because I try to keep it at a professional level, but by the end of the year, they know that they've taught me a lot more than I've taught them.
The School to Work program is in its 22nd year. Each month we're going to be looking at a different elementary school right here in the BASD. This month we're going to be looking at our friends from Freemansburg.
Being from Freemansburg and living here for quite a long time, it's a small, tight-knit community, and we feel that when we're at Freemansburg Elementary, we feel that the staff here treats it kind of the same way. They're very genuine, they're very caring, and they build a family atmosphere that's quite impressive, and it fits in with what the community is trying to do, and vice versa, the community with the school. It's very nice.
When I see the children, when I see the students come in, I can see leaders in them. And even with the little ones, I see that the older students will take and embrace them and show them the way as well to be leaders in the world today and tomorrow.
Love how happy my daughter is here. She comes home, and every year since she's been here in kindergarten, she absolutely loves every teacher. She comes home, it doesn't seem like it's just a teacher, it seems like somebody that she connects with and enjoys spending that time with, and enjoys spending the time with her.
Every day I choose to come to Freemansburg Elementary School, and I choose it because we do everything right here. We do everything right for the teachers do everything right for the students, and we're a community that makes sure that our one outcome is that these kids learn an environment of structure and love.
Freemansburg is another great school right here in the BASD. Up next, an event that all 5th graders look forward to all year long.
Can we please have the following boys students?
Principals got together and physical education teachers got together many years ago, and they worked it out and planned the event, and it's been going on ever since. And it's competition, but in an encouraging environment.
Rink Broad Track Meet is one of my favorite days of the year, probably my favorite day of the school year. It's a day where all 5th grades from our 6 elementary schools get together at Liberty High School and compete against each other, boys versus boys, girls versus girls, in various track and field events. We test them, the elementary teachers test them in phys ed class, starting probably around February or March, and we put a track team together for each school. and they compete against each other, and just a great time. Great, fun, friendly competitiveness. So many times in 3rd grade, when I first introduced it to them in class, they already know about it. Maybe they had a brother or sister already go through it, or a friend or a neighbor. Maybe their parents have already done it, but they already know in 3rd grade usually about it. And each year as it gets closer, when it's finally 5th grade, when they're finally in 5th grade, then you really see the excitement. And when we get there that day, it's the competition. They see maybe friends that they had at a different school. Maybe they transferred to our school, so they see friends that they had and teachers from their other school that they were at. The neat thing I say to all the classes in 5th grade is that that person that you're in line with next to for a running event, or maybe high jumping against, that might be your competitive enemy because that's your competition. But many times by the end of the meet or halfway through, you're talking to that person who was a complete stranger early on. And then next year in 6th grade, you're going to be friends with them walking down the hallways. Maybe you go with them to dance school or gymnastics class, or you're a cheerleader with them. Maybe you play football with them at other times of the year. So it's just neat how it brings all these students together on a day which normally would just be a normal school day.
We still have a few minutes left. Let's look at some student-created videos right here in the BASD.
Weightlifting and weight gaining, all part of exercising, but weight gaining for muscle mass, known as bulking, which is a stage in bodybuilding. And most of the time do it because they're too small. People who are small sometimes have a great difficulty putting the weight on. They're referred to as hard gainers. It might just mean that they have high metabolism or a very active lifestyle. I started bulking to gain mass, and as I did, I gained 34 pounds in just 4 months. Took dedication, proper diet technique, must eat a proper diet, not too much sugar or carbs, because that would just lead to body fat rather than the body muscle mass that you want. A lot of weights don't necessarily mean those gains, but the right amount of things you consume can make those gains. Mostly when you're bulking, high weight and low reps get you that size. 230-pound bodybuilder Carlos Sosa has been bodyforming for the past 4 to 6 years and is currently a trainer at Gold's Gym.
Meat-wise, like I said, more chicken. Chicken's kind of the staple of anything, but red meat, steak, ground beef, stuff like that. You want to kind of stay away from the fish and the ground turkey potato stuff. Yeah. That'll help you cut, but more bulking, I would say, steak and chicken.
And you're bulking, you want to use a heavy weight to lift about 5 to 7 times to gain that very well mass. When first starting out, the first 2 months, you might see a slight change, maybe even no change, or maybe even a major change depending how hard you go.
Yeah, the exercising is definitely for everybody. You know, you have to find your right niche, whether you're more of a powerlifter, whether you're a bodybuilder, whether you just like to exercise for strength training. I definitely wouldn't say that the higher weight, lower reps is for everyone. I wouldn't say that the lower weight, higher reps is for everyone. I wouldn't say that strength training is for everyone. It really depends on what you as yourself are looking to do as your personal goal.
And bulking is my favorite stage in bodybuilding. I love seeing those results, the gains, and it's been a great adventure.
Nowadays, many students are required by their school to get a certain amount of community service hours in order to graduate. Many students see this as just extra work, but some want to use it for what it was meant for, a way to help others. At the First Presbyterian Church of Bethlehem, a team of high school students all use their talents to help other students worship God. On Sunday nights, the worship team performs Christian music at the church's high school youth group called Sunday Night Live, or SNL. Caroline Kessler, pianist and one of the student leaders of the worship team, is currently a senior at Freedom High School and has been a part of this team since her sophomore year.
Being on the worship team really helped me grow in my faith just because I get to listen to the songs all the time and just really understand what all the songs mean and how they connect to God.
At SNL, students have time to sing worship songs as the band plays the songs. Many students feel that SNL is a truly special experience because it is tailored especially for high schoolers. Claire Lewis is a singer for the worship team and believes that SNL has a very strong purpose.
I really just love it, and I love just like being up there and being able to look out and see everyone else just singing along and worshiping God, and I think it's just a really cool experience.
Having a dedicated worship service can also make students want to continue to be involved with their church in other ways. Kessler thinks that having high schoolers lead the worship team greatly affects the worship experience of the other students.
I think that having other high school students lead the high school students in the audience really helps them to realize that they too can worship God just like everybody else and the adults, and that they can have their own personal faith just like us.
SNL gives students a safe and friendly place to be with other students that share the same faith as them, and helps them to grow in their own faith at the same time.
For most people, wrestling is a large waste of time that they wouldn't engage in. But for fans of professional wrestling, nothing beats the sweet, sweet sound of the body hitting the mat. Manuel Antonio Munoz, proud owner of Elite Wrestling and wrestling enthusiast.
It's very challenging. I certainly didn't know what I was getting into when I first started it, but you know, as time goes on, things have gotten much, much easier. And as business grows, there's always new obstacles. So I would have to say extremely challenging.
An ancient tradition started 15,000 years ago and is still adored to this very day. And he is here to talk about his interesting business and how hard it is to run it.
So if anybody in the pro wrestling business is asked, you know, why did you want to get into it? Why should you get into it? There's no good answer, because you should just say, no, we're making a bad decision for ourselves just because we like to hear the roar of the crowd or be a part of something.
All throughout history, humans have been discovering new ways to entertain themselves watching people fight each other, and we ended up with this amazing, vigorous sport that people take pride into. That was Manny Munoz, and this is Elite Wrestling.
I'm afraid that's all the time that we have for this month's District Insider. I'm Saad Chaudry from Freedom High School. Thanks for watching.